Please note that the models shown are initial samples from the molds or digital renderings. Some of these are not fully assembled, painted, or printed. The Nightjet, the showpiece train in European night train service.
RABe
attracted a great deal of attention on the European railway market in 2018 with its order for a new generation of night trains. Together with Siemens Mobility Austria, the new generation of vehicles was presented based on the Viaggio Comfort Next Level family of passenger coaches. Even the concept of the individual sleeping and couchette coaches is completely new on the night train market, in addition to high-quality double and four-person compartments in the sleeping coaches, which have their own toilet with shower facilities. The mini cabins in particular are causing a sensation. They offer everything you need for traveling: the storage space, a folding table, reading lamps, and separate storage facilities for shoes and luggage. The completely newly developed ROCO model is just as innovative as the large prototype. Every wagon is realized in detail. This includes the elaborate bogies with disc brakes reproduced underneath. If you look at the side walls, the train destination displays, which can be illuminated at the touch of a button in the digital versions, immediately catch the eye. However, the highlight is without doubt the interiors of the models. Each type of coach has its own special features. Whether mini cabins, which have partially open or closed sliding doors, or the larger compartments, which have, among other things, separate ladders to the beds. All this is complemented by an elaborate color design of the interior. Naturally, the digital models are equipped with interior lighting X-Works. This is customized for each coach and only illuminates selected cabins and areas in order to achieve the most varied lighting picture possible. We will be publishing further reports on this special model shortly. Noble racer of the Deutsche Reichsbahn, the express locomotive 18201. Long desired, now realized, the coal locomotive appears. In the 1960s, the Halle Research Center needed another high-speed steam locomotive to test new passenger coaches. The 18201 was created from the high-speed tender locomotive 61002 and parts of the high-pressure test locomotive H25024. A modified new boiler from the Class 22 with an extended smoke chamber and diesel ejector served as the steam generator. The engine was fitted with a back-pressure brake to ensure that the speed was maintained precisely at high speed. For many years, the engine was classically fired with coal before it was later converted to oil firing. The 18201 has a long history at ROCO, as it was only brought back to life many years ago in cooperation with the brand. Now ROCO is once again memorializing the locomotive. A technical overhaul with LED lighting as well as valve gear lighting and driver's cab lighting are being introduced. But the main focus is on the realization of all the details. A correctly implemented coal tender, the corresponding ash pan or the modified front are just some of the new details of the Edition model. Electric locomotive E44, a classic from the ROCO range. Almost 200 electric locomotives of the class E44 were put into service between 1932 and 1954. The output of the four-axle bogie locomotives was around 2,200 kilowatts, with a top speed of 90 kilometers per hour. The locomotives proved themselves both in front of passenger trains and goods trains. Some locomotives were equipped with push-pull train control and used in suburban traffic in urban centers. The E44, from which the E44.5, E93, and E94 series were further developed, can rightly be described as one of the most reliable and successful electric locomotives, as it helped the bogie design and the axle-hung drive to achieve a breakthrough. The machine has also been an integral part of the ROCO range for decades. Reason enough to develop the model almost from scratch. The most striking details include the finely detailed and correctly realized bogies, or the elaborately reproduced engine room and driver's cab. The newly developed SBS-10 pantograph is an absolute highlight. It is invisibly mounted on the roof and impresses with its delicate springs. Depending on the prototype, all details are correctly implemented. Different sockets for the lamps. Correct sandboxes. Or the short handle with windscreens at the front right, typical of the Deutsche Reichsbahn. Of course, the digital versions leave nothing to be desired. The detailed engine room and the driver's cab is illuminated at the touch of a button. The locomotive from the Tiger. In order to speed up the change of traction, the Deutsche Reichsbahn procured a total of 378 Class V200, later Class 120, locomotives from the Soviet Union between 1966 and 1975. As the locomotives lacked a train heating system X-Works, they were mainly used for goods trains. Later, silencers were also added to reduce the noise level of the engines. Due to the loud engine noise, the locomotives quickly acquired the nickname Tiger Drum. This popular model has been in the ROCO range for decades. Reason enough to completely overhaul it. The bogie covers have been completely revised and are now narrower in line with the prototype and have the characteristic brake air lines. The front of the locomotive has also been refreshed with some new details. The model is technically impressive with cab and engine room lighting. Both are elaborately emphasized by appropriate color treatment. The Tipson German locomotive in Poland. The Class Tipson steam locomotives of the Polish State Railways were in service from 1942. They were wartime locomotives of the Class 52 of the German State Railway. After the Second World War, over 1,000 locomotives of this class remained with the PKP. Until the end of steam traction, the Tipson was the largest locomotive series in Poland. With the realization of all details of the Tipson, ROCO fulfills a long-cherished wish of Eastern European railway fans. Even at first glance, the large locomotive lamps, typical of Poland, catch the eye. Other striking changes include the smoke box door, snow plows, and attachments on the running board. The tender is also typical with the large lamps and freestanding water tank levers. Technically, a PLU-X16 interface is introduced to the series for the first time. Passenger and freight wagon sets are being released to go with the Tipson series. Or railway locomotives. Swedish duo. To replace the three-part electric locomotives with rod drive of the Class D M3. 6 units of the new RM class based on the C4 were built in the 1970s for ore transport on the Kiruna Narvik line, with a higher weight, different gear ratio and lower maximum speed, only 100 instead of 135 km per hour. It was initially used in triple traction, but later also in other configurations. However, the expected success did not materialize as desired, so the tried and tested DM3 continued to pull the ore trains. And the RM were used as individual units in regular goods train services after a few modifications. ROCO has created a monument to the famous RM engines, with a detailed replica on a scale of 1 to 87, and thus also reproduces this special era of the ore railway in Sweden. The most striking features are the modifications to the locomotive fronts and roof, which are also accurately realized in the model. Together with the filigree ore wagons, a realistic ore train can be modeled. Stadti Express passenger coach. In the 1980s, production began in the GDR of a side-aisle compartment express train coach without air conditioning based on the UICZ specifications. Before the 26.4 meter long coaches could be produced, the transfer table between the halls first had to be converted, as it was too short at only 19 meters in length. The vehicles, which were intended for use in City Express trains, were painted in the typical City Express livery with orange side stripes and a brown roof. The coaches were fitted with Görlitz V-type bogies with block brakes for use up to 140 km per hour or GP200, Görlitz Prager joint development for 200 km per hour with disc brakes. Well over 1,000 coaches of several basic types were built. Based on the Halberstadt passenger coaches, all relevant details are also realized in the ROCO model. These include modified sidewalls or new bogies. This means that colorful sets can be implemented in the model and hauled by the locomotives from the ROCO range. Intercity control cab coach. Traveling by push-pull train. At the beginning of the 1990s, RABe began developing control cab coaches for long-distance transport. The aim was to reduce turnaround times in terminus stations. Following the delivery of 2 series of control cab coaches, Pocket Wagon began manufacturing 12 pressurized Intercity control cab coaches. As part of the refurbishment, the vehicles were completely gutted and, in addition to the installation of new seats, necessary technical measures were also carried out. In this version, some of the vehicles are still in service with the Intercity or Eurocity, where they are now gradually awaiting retirement as the modernization of the long-distance fleet continues. The ROCO model has been realized in the correct 1:87 scale and is a worthy monument to these special vehicles. The front end has been elaborately realized in the model, with separately attached windscreen wipers and UIC plugs adding further value. The bogies also impress with their perfect detailing. The models are supplied ex-works with decoders and extensive lighting functions for model railway enthusiasts. These include driver's cab and driver's desk lighting as well as passenger compartment lighting, which illuminates the detailed interior. Double-decker coaches. After the double-decker coaches procured by Deutsche Bundesbahn and Deutsche Bahn AG had passed their test, further coaches were ordered. The entrances differ depending on the region of use. A distinction is made between coaches with low-level access and high-level access. They were also supplied in different versions. Many series and model ranges followed over the years, which differed in detail in the window layout, among other things. Now ROCO is realizing the popular double-decker coaches as a completely new design in 1:87 scale. Highlights include the openwork superstructures of the air conditioning systems, which allow a view of the air conditioning system and compressor underneath. The lighting is also prototypical, right up to the ends of the coaches and the entrance areas. T5 Pocket Wagon. Piggybacking through Europe. The first pocket wagons were built back in the early 1970s and procured by some European railway administrations. Over time, they were adapted and further developed to meet the constantly increasing requirements. Versatility and flexibility are the key features of the T5 Pocket Wagon. It is a wagon for the transport of megatrailers and conventional semi-trailers. For flexible use in combined transport, the pocket wagons have folding latches with ISO pins on the sole bar so that containers and swap bodies can also be accommodated. For many years, combined transport has been one of ROCO's step horses. Reason enough to now also realize this model as a contemporary replica. The model thus follows the high standard of the popular T3000E double pocket wagon. Separately attached shunting handles and folding latches are just two of the highlights. The models are manufactured using the metal die casting process to ensure perfect operating characteristics. As a special feature, these models are offered fully equipped ex-works. Depending on the load, everything is fully assembled for the model railway enthusiast, and nothing stands in the way of immediate use on the model railway layout at home.